Yes, please.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the reflections on the 12 steps. Just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. This is one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the big book and the solutions contained within. This is not an OSHIA meeting, so shares will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. I have picked today from page 86 in the middle of the page, the paragraph. Do you find it? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. For after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes the working part of the mind. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. I'm stopping here. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Well, this is welcome everybody. Nice to be here. This is a sketch of the 24-hour day. Yeah, so this is upon awakening, and then it's when you go to bed later on. So on awakening, meaning not awakening spiritual, but awakening in the morning. Yeah. Just to be clear about that. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. I'd rather not do that at the moment. I'd rather not think about the 24 hours ahead. But this is this is newcomers, yes? And this is the design for living. And so they give you the 24-hour sketch that you can apply, and then you'll find what works for you or not. Or as you grow into the process, things that you were doing in the beginning, you may lose interest in and later on. Yeah. Because sometimes you're doing something because there's a lack of something else. And when that something else fills up, you don't do the other stuff. Yes? Yeah. Just that's the way it goes. So on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. So here's the beginning of the day. We consider our plans for the day. Yeah. What plans? as you as you reach a certain age, there's going to be what plans, basically. Uh, we consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking. Yeah, so here, direct, drive, whatever. There's the spirit of recovery is you're not the original cause. Yeah. You're something that gets moved or directed or driven or brought to or yeah, propelled. it takes a different view than, let's say, Nike commercials would, which would be just do it, and whatever, and these workouts and what all this stuff. There's a whole different view. This view is not that. This isn't like a spiritual gym and we're just heavy lifting and squatting and stuff like that. It's more a surrendering that lead role and then being moved by a power greater than self. Yeah. And that sort of becomes your propulsion. And actually, the propulsion of the fuel, we're the fuel, but how it's propelled is by what's running the show or driving the car or, yeah. So we considered our plans for the day before we begin. This was very helpful. Yeah. We ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, what conditions? Being divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under that condition, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. So again, I don't know about you, but when I came in, I didn't trust me as far as I could throw me, really. There was a lot of distrust in that which I had great trust in, the head especially, and I was quite suspicious of where it was going to direct me and where it was going to drive me. So when the GPS came on, I was a wary participant in listening to it. So in this way, we're going to restore a certain kind of trust in the head because it's being directed by a power greater than the head, so to speak. Yes? So like they used to say, the mind is a great servant, but a terrible master. So in the self-centeredness, it becomes the master. And then you and I become the servant, especially in alcoholism. We become, we're in a state of spiritless servility. Yeah. So we're a spiritless servant to the mind. That's insane, eh? So this is correcting this. The whole program is about correcting this. And they're giving you the 24-day hour regimen, so to speak. It's not in order. These are suggestions. And then you'll find your own framework probably that works for you. Yeah. Some people want to sit still for 5 minutes, others take a shower, whatever. So under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. And you go back into it, really, because obviously you've lost all faith, in a sense, in that which has a lot of faith in it. You've lost faith in the head. And it's useful as a servant, so to speak. And now we're going to be of service to the higher power. Yes? Yeah. So this isn't a spiritless servility. It's an enthusiastic way of life, actually. Yeah. Uh, our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane. Again, you will not produce a higher plane. You will be placed there. Yeah. It's always the spirit of recovery. You're being placed in a position of neutrality. You'll be brought to this conclusion. It's sort of like you're not doing it. Yeah. You may be doing the steps and shit, but you're not doing this. Yeah. 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 So our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Yeah. Now, it's the thinking is the thinking, yes? But the motives are sort of different. Yeah. So there can be motive in behind the thinking. And so the self-centered motive, we should know by now, is to support its own story. Yes. That's its drive. And its motive to say all this shit it ultimately is to lead us to have a drink. Basically, in a lot of ways, it's trying to build a case to bring us to a point of fuck it. Yeah. And then it's going to give you its final solution is which is to drink or run away with the neighbor's wife that you have a business with or something like that. That's going to provoke a lot of drama and chaos. And then you'll really want to drink, yeah, or get some relief. So it's trying to set us up. So by taking the role of turning your will and life, and that could be the thoughts, over to the care of a higher power, the thoughts are going to be driven by a different motive. And this motive is like maybe looking at how what you can contribute to life and what you can do for the next person. Yes? So now the thoughts have a different motive behind it. They're not self-centered, but they're centered on something else. Yeah? It's beautiful, isn't it? Really? Because as you know, thoughts don't seem to stop coming. Yeah? There's almost like it's a stream of thoughts. Yeah. And they're probably still going on when you're dreaming, but they're not getting noticed. And then during the day when we're conscious, yeah, we notice them. And some people, uh, there's an addiction that's happening with the thoughts and the thinker. Yeah. And it's the thoughts basically drive us crazy in a lot of ways. Yeah. And they seem to be a huge impediment, not a helpful servant. Yeah. And it turns into you become preoccupied with the thoughts about the day instead of being occupied by the day. Yeah. Which is insane in a way. Because we're all like, don't tread on me. This is my life. But many people aren't actually living. They're following a mental narrative, really at the expense of living. They are. And if they really saw what was going on, they would see it's like a regurgitation, a rethinking, a refeeling, a rehashing, a resenting, a regretting. And re means to do again and again and again. And you really find out that almost like a washing machine. You've been in a cycle, there's the rinse, there's the wash, there's the whatever. And then it just keeps, and then it just returns to the cycle and goes on and on and on. And some cycles are like comets. You visit them every couple of years, like I'm a complete loser or something like that, or I'll never be loved. Others are much more frequent and they seem to capture our attention. Yes, because the banner above it all is it's you. And this is what I feel is the big opening we have available. That which we're listening to is generally not you. Yeah. I would say absolutely, but let's just say generally not you. And when you recognize that, there's a loss of interest in it because most interest is the motive of attention to it is it's about you. Really. And when you entertain it may not be about you, there's a possibility of a great loss of interest. And then you will observe that loss of interest. You will not produce it. You're not doing it. You will observe there's been a loss of interest. Just like a lot of people don't have no memory of the exact moment they lost the urge to drink. Yeah. They just observe, wow, that drive or urge that I had all day or a lot of the day is gone now. Yeah. They may not even notice it when it happens, but they observe it hopefully in time. Yeah. So really our role is to be moved and then observe how and what was we were moved to and what's directing us really. Yeah. But if we're clouded with the idea that we're the mover and shaker, you're missing what's moving you. And it's important to find it because if you're in active addiction, you're being moved by what we call self. Yes? Yeah. And you're not observing that, which is you're missing the fucking boat in a sense. And it's so funny. It's not that you meet an alcoholic, and if you're in this program for a while, you know the alcoholism is active. Yeah, you can in 5 minutes. But that alcoholic may not ever know he's an al or she's an alcoholic. Could go on for 30 years. Yeah. Because this is like a parasitical movement that hides itself in your processes or what you call your processes. So this is an observance. Yeah, they're observing under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance because they did and it worked out. Yeah. So they're just observing the change. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So when you're being directed by the higher power, let's say you are now cleared of wrong motives. Yep. But let's tell the truth about being directed by the lower power. Yeah. And then it sure seems when you're being talked to by alcoholism, it sure seems like the thoughts are about convincing you to have a drink. Yes or no? In some cases, when it goes full bore, it's thought upon thought, just going over and over and over until it breaks you and you go, fuck it, isn't it? Yeah. You know, you're going over, ruminating over the same resentment, like about your wife or your husband or something. You never say anything to anybody, but it's just cooking in there. And then something really fucking stokes the fire. And then you don't share anything. And then you're out. Yes. And thoughts had a lot of they were a driving element. Yes. Thoughts about how you felt, thoughts about other people, thoughts about you. And then you're in fuck it. And then once you drink, it's a whole new ball game. The thing has taken you over again. Yeah. 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 It's not like, oh, maybe I should go to a meeting. You better go to a meeting because you're in the initial takeover once again. Yeah. And you got to make haste. You really do. Or it could get really, really bad. So, all right. So, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. Yes, like any day. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Now, the head enlarges stuff, right? So if you're obsessed with yourself that morning and you're thinking, should I go to Ross or Target? It will be seeming like a monumental decision that's going to change your life. Yes. So there's going to be a whole lot of meaning dumped into it. This is the subjectiveness of the weight of bondage. Yes. So the littlest thing becomes a big fucking deal all day. Yes. All day. This is not an objective event. It's a subjective interpretation. Yeah, that's what it is. The dominant theme is not an objective event. It's the subjective interpretation of it. That's what we're living as. We're living as the reaction to life with an interpretation of it. And in the head, mountains can be made out of molehills. Yeah. Size and meaning can be disproportioned. It can make the tiniest little thing be something that you're obsessing over for 24 hours. Yes, this it's like the magician has a telescope and a microscope and it just fucking plays around with them. Yes, and you get obsessed with the tiniest thing and you miss, the forest from the trees. Yes, yeah. So, in thinking about our day, may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration. This will drop, because you'll see that not every decision is that super important. Yeah. You know, do I want peanut butter or almond butter? Give me a break. I'm not going to call someone up and discuss that. Yes, just go for it. Have almond, have half and half if you like. Have half almond, half peanut. Or just forget about it and use pistachio. Who knows? It doesn't, I don't think it needs reporting or whatever. So, unless you're in that other program, the food thing. Yes. Yeah. Here we ask God for inspiration. All right. Yeah. An intuitive thought or a decision. So, wow, we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or a decision. So basically the higher power can decide for you. I would go with that mostly. Yeah. I would give up. I wouldn't make the decision either or of my own making. I would just say, hey, you decide, I'll show up. Yeah. That's a pretty good one. We relax and take it easy. Wow. Is that the first order you get from the head? Very rarely does it say relax and take it easy. Does it? When you're super engaged, you would swat away the relax and take it easy. Give me a break. I've got to be honest thing. I got a buttons. In fact, this is what works. Be relaxed and take it easy. Maybe you can't do that. Yeah. Maybe in the condition you're in, you can't do that. Well, that's great. Then go to a meeting. There's tons of ways. Yeah. But you're going to be led to this conclusion quite a lot. Relax and take it easy. Yeah. And you'll have the ability to relax and take it easy because you're going to have an overriding view that you're in good hands. Yeah. Because you are, and it's proven itself. Yeah. Yeah. You cannot fake it till you make it for 37 years. Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It's gonna you've had to make it for like the 36 years and 9 months. Yeah, maybe a few months you could fake it till you make it. But you're gonna make it and they ain't gonna be faking it. Yeah, for quite a while. Because this works. It does. It works. If you have what we have or been taken over what took us over, this works. It's just obvious. Yeah. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. This is like getting on the bike that you knew how to ride, and this is when you first start riding it. And then you keep riding it, and a lot of stuff is added on to this. Yes? A lot of ability to have peace of mind. You feel a conscious presence of that space, that energy. You feel a new power flowing in. Yes. We are often surprised. So you're not anymore after a while. You're not surprised. You're surprised how the form it takes, but you're not surprised that it worked out. Yeah. You'll be amazed by the forms it can take, but you're not surprised that it works out. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. Tried what? Asking the higher power to direct us, relax and take it easy, and don't struggle. Yeah. I don't see much struggling in any of these squares in the Zoom. Yeah, unless someone maybe have a restless leg disorder, and that I couldn't see because I can only see from the waist up. But most of us seem to be relaxed and taking it easy and not struggling. Yeah. Feels good, eh? Yeah, I think so. Uh, we don't struggle. All right. We are often surprised how the right answer comes after we have tried this for a while. Oh, so it works. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Wow, so can you live on intuition alone? Yes, you probably can. Yeah. Being still in experience, and this is what they're speaking of. This is why they're drawing this design for the day, because we're inexperienced in this new conscious contact with a higher power. Yes? So they're trying to make a simple format to follow so we will be constantly getting reintroduced to that power during the day so that we come to know it. Yeah, yeah. So what used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with this power, God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions, like becoming a cult leader or something. uh, in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, you're going to learn, actually. We find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. Wow. So even the thought system is going to be transformed. Yes? Not so much the thoughts, but the motive behind the thoughts. Because I think the motive, if the mental process goes into the bag of thoughts, it's based on its motive. Yeah. So whatever's driving you has a motive, and it's going to use thought to drive you that way. So the thoughts themselves are tainted or colored by the motive. Yeah. Yeah. And while we're under the influence, they have life. Now they're dead, but they're still appearing. Yes? And they're going to die off because now the motive has changed. So the thought system isn't being used to keep you in a spiritless servility. It's now being used for you to be of maximum use to other people, let's say. Yeah? So now, over time, the thoughts, the flow of the thoughts themselves are going to be changed and different. Yeah. Because of the motive being taken out and a new motive being put in. Pretty good, eh? You know, there was a teacher that used to break the mind, the mental, let's call it the small m mind up, and he would say the working mind and then the psychological mind, which is going over everything the working mind does. Say, and it says, as they say, you know, the mind is a good servant but a bad master. So he believes many people, the psychological aspect of the mind has gone way overboard, and the working aspect of the mind has actually been hindered by the overarching obsession. Yes, yeah. So when that gets relieved, the working mind gets more acuity, you know, gets can become clearer and get right to the problem and put the right nut on the right bolt. And yes, yeah. And then when the job is done, the working mind's job is done, and there's the enjoying of peace of mind. Now, the psychological mind wants to fill that time before and after the working mind has done its work and fill it with this story of you. Yeah. So we're going to be freed from that. And then there's going to be a rehabilitation of the working mind. Not bad at all, eh? That's incredible, really. And some of us, it's going to be slowly. So you stay on the operating table, and basically the old motive gets washed out of you, and the new motive takes its place. And now you're thinking about what you can contribute to life. Or yeah, or like what come up and show up to this Zoom and see your friends and sing the same song over and over again. All this stuff now is the way the head works. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. So uh, there we go, and then they go into they describe the period of meditation. They go into the whole 24 hours. So if you're new, it starts on page 86 and goes through 88. It's a 24-day program, really. They give you a like a scaffolding, and then you fill in with the help of someone else, maybe a sponsor. You fill it in, and it gives you some adhesion to the program. I was at a meeting yesterday, and people were suggesting to these newcomers. One of the things I didn't hear was, get a commitment. Yeah, it'll probably be 6 months, and you'll start having an anchor in your externals, yeah, before you get the anchor of the internal through the program of recovery. Many of us need an anchor in the external, and a commitment is an incredible, it's very, very cool because you just show up every week. Yeah, yeah. And then you see the results. And then when there's a service opening, you put your hand up because you realize this doing service is going to bring you out of this trance of the spiritless servility. Yeah. You'll have a couple of moments of being conscious, and that goes a long way. And so all this stuff, the community gives us so much support for this transformation to occur of the faith being moved from the finite self to the infinite. Yeah, and the community just keeps us on the straight and narrow, so to speak. It's like the God rails, the God rails, and to take advantage of it is, I think, is super wise. Yeah, because your head thinking it's going to miss out on something does not want to make a 6-day commitment, not only a 6-month commitment. I remember it to this day. I was at this very popular meeting on Friday night in a place called Fort Mason in San Francisco. Very pretty girls and all this and all that. And I was there and pretty new. And of course, I wanted a lot of room for movement. I wanted to do my thing, do that. And then I got nominated to be the secretary of this Friday night meeting. And I thought my first mental reaction was, this is going to crimp all of my possibilities of meeting all these people. Yes. And no way am I going to give 6 months of Friday nights away where I could be moving and shaking. Yes. But I said yes. And they were the best freaking Friday nights I'd had in years. Yeah. It was incredible. And so all of these barricades that you may think are so solid, they'll fall apart when you meet something that actually works. You just have to take a chance. And it's not a chance, really. Yeah, there's no leap of faith. The leap of faith is the continual believing in the head. That's a huge leap of faith. This will produce the goods. Yeah. And so I did that, and I had many, many commitments, and all that I thought about it never came to pass. It was all bullshit. But that bullshit used to paralyze me. It did. I didn't do anything. It just kept me completely in this terminal, unique cocoon. Yeah. So service and commitments, I feel, are very important, especially in the beginning. And to follow this thing as best you can, don't make it another torture chamber. if you don't do something or like that. Like it says, relax and take it easy. Yeah. Yeah. You're in good hands. So yes, we'll open it up. Thank you, Miss Volkman. Very nice. So page 86 to 88 is the 24-day, 24-hour program of the program. Yes. They go over what to do in the morning and what to do at night. Yeah. Is it valuable? Yes, I think so. Yeah. I don't know about you or me. I did a lot of this stuff, but I haven't done it for 37 years. Yeah. Because once really I got the relief, I lost a lot of interest in doing a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I really believed the relief begets more relief. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you as a builder is called off. You don't need to build anymore. Yes. The momentum is already going. You just ride it, just like a wave in the water. The skill of somebody in the ocean is the least amount of paddling, yeah, because you know where the waves break. And as soon as you start paddling, you know when the wave's taken over. You only paddle to be of little help, and then the main propulsion is the wave. Yes, it is not the paddling. So you want to ride the wave. You don't want to paddle all fucking day. Yeah. Yeah. So this is quite like this program, I think. Yeah, I do. I think many of us need to be constrained and contained, and this way of life, this design for living will do that. And maybe you won't have to be institutionalized, which is great. You can just live like a more like a free range alcoholic, and then that open range opens up more and more. And maybe sometimes you make a mistake and think you're somewhere that you're not, but you're not going to be penalized for fucking 30 years. It was, yes, you just get humbled and then you get on, keep on going. The one thing you never change is the condition of not starting drinking. That's You want that as the constant, yeah, and then every mistake can be seen as having great value, yeah. Even that ultimately, but it's much easier if you just stay sober through the process, I feel. Yeah. So I remember this page. It was great. 84, 86 about it. Yeah. I made my bed a lot in the beginning, and I did a lot of laundry because I didn't know what to do with myself. I did. I did a lot of laundry. I had the cleanest fucking jeans. They were like crisp every freaking day. I was down in the laundry in the building I was in. So, I mean, I had I had to be occupied, and I didn't drink coffee then. Of course, I was a cocaine addict. Coffee was totally unessential in my life. So these guys were bringing me to cafes fucking every day. And I started drinking coffee, but not at that point. And every once in a while, I would chirp up and go, why the fuck am I coming to these cafes with you? And they said, well, are you sober? And I said, yes, it's working. Yeah, they just were trying to keep me busy until the operation proceeded. Yes, yes, and it worked. Yeah, so yeah. All right, we can open it up if you like.
Yes, there were two hands up, one from Walter and then from Noah, but now both disappeared. So you wanna reappear again?
Oh, it's good. Well, it's nice, always nice to see Walter.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
here he is, Walter.
I mean, a lot of people could add on to this. I for me, I'm just preoccupied with the underlying point we want to get across, which is that which is defeating you is foreign to you. Yes. But I'm amazed. I loved yesterday at the meeting because all these old timers spoke, and it was quite nice. Yeah. But
Yeah.
usually we're quite focused and one pointed because one thing I didn't hear yesterday is what we talk about here. Yes. And I feel what we talk about here would be quite beneficial to what where I was yesterday where I don't hear it. Yeah. But whatever.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah.
Good. Hi, Paul.
Hey,
Good morning or good evening. I don't know. Uh,
good morning.
it's evening here. Uh, I've got a question, but more or less you answered it already. And when I look at myself from actually, I do know it, but this one line direct our thinking, that gives the suggestion that I'm able to direct my thinking to change it. And my experience is that I have to be, in the past, I used to be very aware about my thinking, otherwise, I go into stupidities, you know? But
Yes.
I cannot. I'm not really able to direct it. You know, when I see I have to do my administration and look into figures, and I don't know what. You know, and sometimes it works, and a lot of times it just doesn't work. Although I want to direct my thinking. You know, and then I have
Yeah.
to give it a break. And then I think myself, I'm fucking stupid. The alcohol fucked my brains, and next moment it's not a problem. So I wonder about this sentence because it gives again the idea that I can change myself, that I can do something, that I didn't do enough my best, that I have to read another 1,000 pages of spiritual humbug, whatever. Please
Yes.
comment.
I think well the way I feel it is uh s- we turn over the thinking so that it will be directed by the higher power.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's how I see it. Even if it's not written that way, basically when you turn over your will and life, obviously uh will and life have a lot to do with thoughts being directed, yes? So
Sure.
basically I know I'm in your camp. I don't see how the thoughts when I notice them are already they have already been directed. I don't see I can direct them. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
But
they direct at me, and it's like I'm trying to avoid a car that's coming right at me. So I don't see. Uh, but I believe the overall takeover of the mental processes can change the different processes because of the motive they were being used for in the past to promote the parasitical takeover. And now the higher power is giving the motive of the mental processes. So I think
mm,
they can be brought back to a condition that's going to be beneficial to us when it didn't look like that was beneficial before. Yeah, because
yeah,
the motive is being changed as we speak.
yeah,
So I don't see that sentence, but does it say we will direct the head? Well, it doesn't matter because I don't believe that either, that we are going to direct the head. I
yeah. Because for instance, when I come across a lot of people in the program, strange enough, it is not standing in written in the big book, but who went into a lot of this rehabs, psychotherapy, trying to change, or they're not in the program, they go to the shrinks, or they, and I immediately noticed it, you know, from where it is coming, what therapy did it, and from. Mostly, I don't fight with it anymore. I turn away. You know, I don't want to talk with you because it's not real. It's nonsense. You know,
yes,
I
yes,
mean, and that is about directing the thinking. You know,
yes.
Uh, and
Well,
it feels completely unnatural.
I agree with you. And yet, bygones be bygones. And there may be value that they're extracting from it that you don't. And ultimately, it may really be valuable when it fails. and they
Yeah. True.
realize and they're convinced that they cannot direct thoughts. Yes? Yeah,
True.
because convinced is an important condition for the operation to continue.
It took me quite some years to get
Seriously,
convinced.
because the convincing is what keeps you on the table. You're convinced. Yeah. And so, and some people have to try tons of shit to become convinced. And
Yeah.
so there you go. But yeah, I never, I feel we're being directed. Yes, I don't believe that we're doing any of it. I believe it's happening to us. And then in some cases, it's really nice when you observe it because it usually triggers gratitude. Yeah. And you're being changed by the admittance that you couldn't do it. Like it says, a higher power can do for us what we can't do for ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. So we find ourselves in a very handicapped condition and we're trying to apply like a Nike idea, just do it or
Yeah.
whatever. And it obviously doesn't work. So surrender is the opposite of that, and surrender works, which is an admittance of defeat. And in that admittance of powerlessness, it opens up power. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yes. So no, I always see emphasize we're brought to, we were placed in a position of neutrality. We've been driven by 100 forms of self-pity, this and that. I I really, one of the best examples is just taking the word driven and driver. Yeah. So the driven obviously would be the car or vehicle, and the driver would be what was driving the car. Yeah. Now, the car can't drive the car, even though someone may say it, they can't yet. Yeah. And so the important aspect of the car's condition is what's driving it, literally. And AA presents that there's two options. There's either you are right now being driven by finite self, or you're being driven by the infinite, really. And after a while, you'll know the driver by how you're driven. How yes, that's how you recognize it. And like Jesus said, a bad a good tree cannot bring forth bad fruit. So a bad driver cannot bring forth a good driven, and a good driver cannot bring forth a bad driven. Yeah. So basically, it's the same statement. Yeah. Now, the importance to us is to recognize the difference between driver and driven.
Yeah.
And the head is thinking it's the driver of
Yeah.
the body, which is the driven, but the head is of the body.
Yeah.
So the head is of the body. So the head is part of the driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we are living a life driven by the head, and it probably will work a lot better when that part of the head is driven by something else. And so this is what the program is. It's putting us to something else that now drives the part of the driven that thinks it's the driver. And then you learn finally about the aspect of the driven that there's an aspect that it's under the delusion that it's the driver. So suddenly, and then you see, oh, well, it didn't do such a good job. Is there any other possibility? Yes. There's the possibility of the infinite being that which is driving us. Wow. Yeah. So now the driver of us is recognized as it's an aspect of the driven. In other words, what's trying to drive the car is part of the car. Yeah. It doesn't know it, but we better know it. And now we are basically calling into this situation by doing the program, living the program, the new driver. That's it. Yes. And the old driver, which is part of the driven, keeps talking as if it's the driver. And you'll probably realize that it never is going to get that it's part of the driven. And it's better that you recognize that so you stop trying to convince it of something it can't be convinced of. And now you realize there is two aspects of that which is driven. One part of it thinks it's the driver. Yeah. And the Oldsmobile driver isn't treating the Oldsmobile driven that well. It's almost incompatible, actually. So this one is sort of okay. It doesn't say you're surrendering your life or will. You're turning it over to the care of something. Yes? It doesn't say that. Surrender is turning it over to the care of something. Yeah. Now, the head, the aspect of the driven that thinks it's the driver, thinks it has a say in that fact matter, but in fact it doesn't. If you turn your will and your life over, you're turning it over because it's part of your will and life. The head is not the director of your life. Yeah, it's an aspect of the driven. Yeah, playing the role of the driver hasn't worked. It doesn't work for us. I don't know if it works for others, but it definitely doesn't work for active alcoholics and addicts. Yes, it does not work. So we need to find a driver that's not the driven, and that's the higher power. Yes. And to me, it's not a thing, it's not a location, it's a force. Just like when you're in water, you see the water, but there's currents in the water you don't see. And those currents are, let's say, are pushing you. Yeah. They're pushing you. While you're in the water, let's say surfing, you notice you've been moved like 100 yards north of where you started. You're still in water and still catching the waves, but you have been moved. You didn't even notice it. But now when you look at the beach, you see you're down. You're 100 yards north of where you started. That's force. That's power. Yeah. So we have a life and we have a will, but now you're going to see a new power in that life and will. Yes. Just like you'll feel a current in the water and you will notice it. You won't have to just notice it after you've been moved 100 yards. You'll feel it moving you and you'll have a great assurance because it has treated you well. Yes. You're not going to, like this. You're going to relax and take it easy, like it says. Your response to it directing you is going to be, you're going to relax and take it easy. And you won't be struggling. Yes. What was your reaction to the part of that which was driven that said it was the driver? Fucking getting ready for the next collision. Yes. Yes. So, yeah. Yes, beautiful. The whole thing is beautiful. Not because of it. It's amazing. You can find people in different conditions or levels of alcoholism, and there's a place they can go. Not a sanitarium or an attic or sending them up to Aunt Phoebe's, but a place to go to find relief from a life driven by self. Yes. So, yeah, self giving all the motives to the memories and the thoughts and the interpretations of feelings and just regurgitating over and over again. Yeah, yeah. Same grievance, different person. Yeah, same, same. So we want to point out that which has taken us over is foreign to us, because that's what really opened a big door in my recovery. And that's why I'm sharing it. I saw the word self this one day, and I felt that it represented something completely foreign to me. And that was the beginning of, I went with that notion, and it opened a lot of relief, enough to motivate me to show up here. And yeah, even though a lot of times it doesn't go well, sharing it with people. I become much more selective, definitely. But we have our own little theater, and we play the movies we want to watch. Yeah. And
You do.
we want to watch uh centered themed movies instead of self-centered themed movies. And we're going to keep replaying them. And yeah, because we enjoy the relief they bring about. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in for it. So it's open, the door's open. There's enough people that do service to keep it going, like Michael and Kathleen and all these people that do a lot behind the Annette and others do a lot behind to keep the Zoom going. Yeah. And knock out Zoom bombers. Michael Stacy is like our Ghostbuster. He's just fucking fast as hell. And
Yes.
all this, yeah, just so that because we honor the overall message of recovery and then the specific diagnosis of the exact nature of the wrong. It's necessary to have it, yeah, because you may be flinging wrongness at the wrong thing. Yeah, yeah. So, and it's all driven by relief, really. There's a great relief in recognizing you're not that which hates you. Really, it just brings about uh, untold possibilities of nice padding and yeah, not being whipped into submission all day, but taking it easy with no struggle. Yeah, yeah.
Great,
So,
man.
yeah, it is fantastic. All right. Well, anyone else, or we'll start saying goodbye.
Well, I don't know. There was one more hand up, Noah, but I don't see him for now.
No, that's okay then. We're gonna turn off the furnace never gets turned off, but we're gonna
There is one Travis now, if
oh
you want.
Travis, bring Travis in, yes.
Hey Paul, hey everybody. I came in late, so you might have already talked about it, but I like how you make the distinction between surrendering our lives or whatever to just saying the care of the higher power, because I feel like the head wants to do like some big ritualistic, like handing it over or whatever,
Yes.
but it's just like kind of keeping it simple. And I also noticed how I'll have these insights about how I think things are, and no matter how pure or direct, it always gets distorted by the head, so it never really is what it is. It could be, you could be in knowing or being or whatever when that statement is being uttered, but it immediately gets distorted by the head. So like these insights that we may have from the head, just they can I guess help, but if you're not from that place, or seemingly if you're not sort of from that place of knowing, then all insights don't really do anything or help anything. And then yeah, just like that the alcoholic mind just has, I mean, I think the head generally it just has its wires crossed of how things are, but like the further you go into addiction and alcoholism, like your wires get just pretty more and more mixed up. and that we need something other than that to guide us. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Well, yes, the admit, whatever's been managing the life proved to be unmanageable. That's all. And you need a new employer, but you can't seem to get away from the old employer. So this is what the program does. It produces the effects that we can't produce. It does for us what we could not do for ourselves. That's what it does, out of many things. Yeah. So there needs, and along the process, there's usually you'll come into some deep admittances about your inability to do things. Yeah. I mean, I was very humbled when I read, because I felt it was true, that I was in a condition that I could not have a viable relationship with another human being or thing, really. That really hurt me. It hurt me when I was early on, yeah, because it had gone that far. I had been disassociated that far that I couldn't relate to people. Yeah. So a lot of the admissions are humbling. They're not humiliating, they're humbling. And to me, humbling with the right motive is very healthy. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, just stay on the operating table. Don't get up and don't play doctor. It
I
works.
tell that to people in the program, and did you make that up? Because everybody I tell that to people is like, that's
Yes.
such a good saying.
I didn't make it up. I observed it dropping in. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes. Yeah. Because it, again, we're not the doctor, yeah, in this case. So, and the program is about just staying on the operating table a day at a time. Yeah.
Yep.
You're on an operating table if you're not drinking. You really are. And so everything is going on. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Everything that's ever come up in my head was about uh, presenting these ideas. That's all. Yeah. It was just another way of trying to get a message through, because there's a lot of static between uh, the message and where we're trying to direct the message to. The head is just will arise up quickly, like you said, and claim the message by saying it's the hearer of it, and it neuters most of it all the time. It turns it into another thing about it. And so this is why repetition is helpful here. And so we come every week and we repeat basically the same thing for years. And it will probably continue, because if you don't see it, you're looking from it. Yeah. If you don't become aware of the selfing, you're going to be looking from the selfing. And then uh, it will be escaping any kind of investigation. Yeah. Yes. So, yep. All right. Thanks, guys. Really.
Thank you. Good to see you.
See you, Travis. Yes, everyone. Stephen, always a pleasure. Just had some of that coffee you sent. Thank you. Peter, nice to see you, my friend. Annette, as always. Rick Rowe in Vancouver. You're in Vancouver now. You're not in Toronto. Wow. Rico, nice to see you. You're getting slowly closer, Rick. But you're staying in Canada. That's good, probably. Rico Cruz, Kathleen, as always. Yes. Chris B, Paula, Steve Butler in Novato, Walter, our main man over there in Netherlands, Michael Stacy, Joseph in France, Miss Volkman, the keeper of the furnace. Yeah, it's awesome. Maggie down south, Vlad, my friend in Portugal, John H., Tom Lazada. Nice to see you, Tacoma. Jess, Ireland, yes, representing Ireland, very good. David, nice to see you, my friend, too. Everyone, pleasure. Loving power expressing itself through our group conscience.
Yeah, man.
That's what this meeting is. Yeah. Yeah. See you guys. Bye.